Joining me now is NewsNation political contributor and Republican strategist, Denise Gitsham. So first of all, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you, Laura.
You know, let's talk about the event. I want to ask you about the speakers and the messaging, but we've just had some pretty intense reporting from Jessica at the scene there outside. There are so many people that showed up for this memorial, and we've got people being turned away hours before this is set to begin. So I just want to get your take on what we just heard.
Let's hope their security, their actual security inside the stadium is better than the organization outside. Look, with politically motivated violence at an all-time high since the 1970s, and with 42% of certain demographics, saying that political violence is acceptable, we've really got to think about our role. I mean, it's not just on security, right? Like every single American, especially the people that are there right now, need to be in a state of, post 9/11 awareness, where if you see something, say something, and more importantly, do something. So, I pray, and that's all we can do is ask God to protect all of the people that are there. And this sacred moment where we are honoring Charlie Kirk's faith and his legacy, and all the people who've come to honor that, this moment that should be a moment of unity, to really be protected.
Yeah, hopefully it will stay that way, a moment of unity. Let's talk about the speakers that are expected today. Obviously, I mean, talking about security, right? We've got the president and the vice president. We've got Erica Kirk going to be speaking. There's a really long list. Let's talk about who we expect to see. We've got it up here on the screen. Just wondering what you expect to hear. Obviously, a lot of honoring of his legacy.
Oh, yes. And I do think that there's going to be a call to unity. Of course, it looks a little bit like a MAGA rally, right? And there's probably going to be some partisan finger pointing. It wouldn't put it past anyone on that list of speakers. But I'm praying that those who are people of faith, who lead with their faith rather than politics, are going to be the one that say, you know what? It's our responsibility to shape the country that we want to live in. It's our responsibility to do, like Jesus said, to resist hating your brother, because hatred is equivalent to murder in God's eyes. So even the little things that we feel about those we disagree with, and that's actually a challenge that I'm actually making for myself, and I hope that those watching will do the same, is worry less about what the people are saying on that stage today, or what you think about Charlie Kirk's legacy and what he said in life, and think more about what your response is to what you're hearing. If your response is murderous rage or complete dismissal of what maybe more than half of Americans believe, as represented on the stage, then we have a soul problem. It's much deeper than just, reacting to a resolution, on the House floor. It's about what we think about people we disagree with, and how we want to move forward and engage with those people. We have to decide, do we want to understand that half of America, or do we want to decide that we're just going to go in our silos and talk to the people that fuel that rage, rather than feed our better angels?
We do talk to all sides, so let's take a listen to Democratic Congressman Glenn Ivey on the Hill Sunday, talking about bringing down the political temperature and pushing for conversations with internet providers on online algorithms. Let's listen to that.
A lot of these shooters, whether it's in the Charlie Kirk scenario or these many school shootings and the like, are lone wolf individuals, usually young white males, who get radicalized in the internet. And I think we need to start talking with the internet providers about how these algorithms are working and pushing. Once you get into that track, it starts pushing you down that. Let's have a conversation about those algorithms. And the other, of course, is the firearms. To keep powerful firearms out of the hands of people with mental health issues or some serious issues.
All right, so what do you make of that?
I mean, I've heard a lot of these conversations for decades, right? It's the same stuff. And I think that when we look to social media or gun control as the answer, we're really ignoring the hard work that we have to do within ourselves. Social media is no different than a gun. The only difference is that we have a Second Amendment right to bear arms, and we don't have a First Amendment right to use social media. And so I think the difference is it's not about the tools that we use to spread what's in our heart. It's about the hard work of looking inside and understanding how we're using neutral tools, money or power in the hands of somebody great and gracious and generous is a fantastic thing. It changes countries, it changes communities, it changes lives. But money in the hand of someone, power in the hand of someone evil, it can destroy a nation, can destroy a community, and can destroy lives. So again, I put all of these things, guns, social media, and all the rest, into the category of how are we going to encourage one another and ourselves to use them for the betterment of society, not to tear people apart.
Well, we will check back in with you. It's always great to have your voice here. NewsNation political contributor Denise Gitsham, thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Thank you.